We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
Hello, my loves, and welcome to another episode of the Lux and Leverage podcast with your host, Michelle Hex. Welcome to my new listeners. Welcome back to my regulars. Today, I want to talk to you about locking in your standards for 2026. And this is always off the back of something that I've just decided for myself. As you would have heard if you've been hanging around for a little while, that I made the decision this time last year to go all in on my podcast and to really focus on making that grow. At the time, I didn't know what that looked like, didn't really know how I was going to do that. And now we are pushing towards 10,000 downloads a day and pushing towards millions of streams every month. That will be happening over the next 3 to 4 months. So it's an exciting time. And it also means that when I sit down to record my podcast, I know that I have a glorious audience of listeners. And I know for many of you, this is not true. You have a podcast that you are passionate about, or maybe it's a YouTube channel, whatever it is, right? You have something that you're extremely passionate about and you show up every single week and you do your thing and you provide a lot of value, and you have just a handful of listeners and or people that are watching or subscribers or whatever the metric is that you are working with. And every week it kind of, you sit down to do your thing, and I know you have this sinking feeling about, I just wish I had a bigger audience, right? And for me, that was absolutely my thinking. Love recording the podcast, love the content, blah, 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 right? That sounds a little narcissistic, I know, but I do like the content that I put out there. And I know that for the right people, it is the right content. It doesn't have to be for everybody. I'm talking to my 1%, right? But I knew that I wanted volume because it wasn't a lot of fun sitting down, recording, just knowing that the same handful of listeners were listening every single week. And that was a standard that I set, and it was a decision that I made, and it was a strategy that I decided to lock in on and go all in on. And look at where we are now. This morning, I was looking through my YouTube stats. I posted my first YouTube video for, let's call it, re-entry for 20, as I take the same path with my YouTube channel as I did for my podcast. I decided that long form content is my jam. It's where I love to be. It's the type of content that I like creating the most. And I get to do things my way, right? I write the rules of my life and my business just like you do. And I decided that I wanted to get back into YouTube. And again, it's the same deal, right? It's like, 20 views, 50 views. I think I've got the most views I ever had was something like 3,500 views. That said, there has been no strategy around my YouTube channel. I have not really done anything with it. So I have only myself to blame. But I decided that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to put the time and the energy into doing this every single week, and I want an audience. And I want to know that I'm showing up for a larger audience. And the standard is the podcast, right? I created a new standard when I decided to follow that podcast growth strategy. And the standard was I show up for millions. That's the standard. And do I have millions right now? No. Will I have millions by the next, give us 6 months? Absolutely, I will. 100% without a doubt. And so I get to create it. It sounds wild to me. Like when I sat back, 12 months ago thinking about this, the idea of millions just was not on my radar because it was so far removed from the numbers that I had. But I set that intention and I locked in on it. That was going to be the standard. And what do you know? Surprise, surprise, the way showed up like it always does when we make a decision, when we hold ourselves to a certain standard. And it's only as I sat down this morning to hire somebody for YouTube that I realized, I look back at my YouTube stats and it's like, no, this is just not fucking acceptable. I'm not going to show up to this amount of people. And I am in discussions with a few YouTube growth experts to create a similar offer to the one that I have for the podcast Millionaire, but for YouTube. And I've been going backwards and forwards and nothing's really landing. And this morning I just went, you know what? I'm going to go do exactly what I did last time when I hired my person. And I did that. And I'm now having a conversation with somebody, and I am about to hire someone this morning, and we're going to go down the same exact path. And it's all because I locked in the standard of I show up for millions. And that will be the same for my YouTube channel. And so I'm hiring the person and I'm going to make it happen. And so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have million standards, right? Where we have to tick 100 different boxes. But what is the biggest needle moving standard that you can create right now, that if you know you maintain that standard and you work towards that standard, or you just lock it in, then it's going to have a massive impact on your business. And for me, it is, I don't show up for less than millions. And that is the way, that is the standard. And I'm so excited to see where I'm going to be sitting this time next year with both the podcast and the YouTube channel. And the thing about the YouTube channel is, I've always had a bit of a love-hate relationship with it just because it requires a bit more effort, right, than the podcast. But I'm so passionate about there being midlife conversations in the entrepreneurial space. If you go online, if you're a midlife woman, if you're a woman that's in her, mid 40s and up, and you go and have a look on the interwebs, there is so much stuff for midlife around fashion, around health and fitness, around weight loss, around travel, things like that. There is so much content out there. I hate the term midlife, by the way. I know it's just a descriptor, but it sounds matronly. It's like, I don't know what else we're going to call it, but I don't like the term, but you know what I'm saying. But when I look at, women in their 50s and late 40s and 50s and even 60s, I'm looking at it and it's like, where is the business content? Where is the entrepreneurial content for women in that space? Because that is a different time of life, right? There's the whole perimenopause thing, there's the menopause thing, there's the kids, there's just so much going on that it's a different conversation, right? If you look at women that are in their 20s and 30s who have kids, they have very different challenges compared to raising teenagers and young adults, because as they say, little kids, little problems, big kids, big fucking problems some of the time, right? And they're different conversations. And so I want to be having those conversations on YouTube, creating a community over there where we get to talk about business and we get to talk about, the woman behind the business, essentially, because that is who I am, and that is who I want to be speaking to over there. And I do see a gap in that market. And so, yeah, do I believe there's a place for me on YouTube to be having those conversations? I absolutely do. And I'm not going to go over there and show up to 20 people a week. It's just not going to happen because the content is too good. It's got to be seen. And so the standard for me is get it seen, hire the people, do what you've got to do to get it seen. Now, when I hire this person, is it necessarily going to be the right person? Are they going to grow it in the way that I want them to grow it? Is it going to grow fast enough? Are we going to have challenges along the way? Maybe. but I'm locked in on the standard. That doesn't change. So it might mean I hire somebody else. It might mean we do a few different things, but the standard doesn't shift. The standard is that I show up to millions, and that is unwavering. And you would have heard me talk about last week, my word is undaunted, and I'm so undaunted by that prospect. I'm so excited by it. And it feels very locked in the way that the podcast growth was locked in last year. This year, I'm locking in on YouTube. So, my question to you for this week is, what is the standard that you want to lock in right now for 2026? Is it something similar? I don't post content to get lost in the void. I don't I don't show up and do my work and get paid less than this. So what are you settling for? I guess is the thing, right? I have had standards around my revenue. I have standards around my health and fitness. I've had standards around the way I live my life for a very long time. And I've just been having an amazing time locking in on one standard that is a needle mover. But I want you to think about it for you. What is the standard? Is it a revenue goal? Are you settling for crumbs when you know you deserve better than that? When you know that you are worthy of more than that? And if you decide that, I'm sick of making, I don't know, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, you're fed up with those numbers and you want to go bigger, then lock it in, lock that standard in. The minimum standard for me is, I don't know, 100,000 a month or 50,000 a month or 20,000 a month or 5,000 a month, whatever that standard is for you, right? The standard is that I do not accept less than that. And so is the money just automatically going to fall out from the sky? Of course it's not. You're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to do some figuring out. You're going to have to figure out, if this is the standard, how do we attain that standard? And what do I need to do? Who do I need to be? How do I need to show up every day if I'm going to be that person and achieve that thing? It's the same with my YouTube channel. If I plan on showing up to millions over there, I have to show up with my A game, right? And that's how it's going to be. It's requiring more of me because I have to do my hair, I have to do my makeup, I have to look presentable. It's not like the podcast where I can just, I'm wearing my tracky pants right now. And I'm not afraid to tell you that. But YouTube is requiring something different, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready to show up like that. I'm ready to show up like that more and more and more and more in my business because it makes me feel good. And when I feel good, my energy is better. So a standard that I'm locking in for 2026 as well is show up camera ready every single day. And I know that that standard will make such a massive difference